listening to the Betmaker Show. This is the NFL Hall of Fame betting odds preview for Thursday, August 1st, 2019. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Betmaker Show, Brian Blessing.
All right, here we go. It's a great time of year. Football is ready to rock and roll, and so are we, Brian Blessing and Cam Stewart, ready to talk about it. The Hall of Fame game, Cam, people are so starved for football, literally they'll watch anything. I mean, if I could bet on the 700 Club, I would. But, I mean, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and Denver and Atlanta got to play an extra game, so you know you're going to be getting bartenders and grocery store clerks playing in this game, and it's all about run, clock, run, get out of Dodge.
Yeah, you said it. This game's interesting, and I'll tell you, Brian, it used to be one of these things just to take unders in the preseason game. Things have changed over time. A lot of the time the overs are coming in, but this one I really worry about, especially when you have games in between very short spans. I find it interesting, too, line movement. People are jonesing to bet football so much. We're seeing lines move 4 and 5 points. It's crazy. This is more than a regular season game. This just tells you people will bet on anything right now. And it's really interesting seeing a team go from a 2.5 point favorite to a 2.5 point dog. And these things are going to happen a lot. But one angle we can do, Brian, if we're going to break down the preseason, check the depth charts out, see who's got, a good second string quarterback, good third string quarterback, guys fighting for jobs, guys who are better collegiate players. You can do that stuff if you follow it. Also, look at coaches who want to win. Some people take the preseason seriously and want to win and get a good vibe going. Other coaches, like the Bill Belichick, screw this. My goal is the Super Bowl. He's got a veteran team. He knows how to get it done. But those are angles that we can look at.
Well, I mean, this first game is a tip-off right there. Maybe Brian plays a series. But the bottom line is you're sitting here and you're going to be looking at, Matt Schaub, and then at the end of the game, what's the kid's name? Benkert? So then you go to the other side of the equation. Flacco's not going to play. But you get Kevin Hogan with NFL experience. Drew Lock is, quote-unquote, their quarterback of the future. And then at the end, a guy with upside who's going to relish any opportunity he gets because they're about to go away is the quarterback Rippin from Boise State. So the quarterback rotation clearly favors Denver. And the other thing is, and it's another angle we'll talk about, Vic Fangio, new head coach with Denver. These new coaches want to change culture, and winning matters more to them.
You said it. Vic Fangio's not screwing around either, Brian. He's one of those old school guys like Cliff Kingsbury's giving Arizona players 20-minute tweet breaks to catch their social media. And, okay, these kids don't have attention span. Vic Fangio's saying, if I hear any music in the clubhouse, somebody's going to get punched in the face. He's an old school guy who's taking it seriously right now, and I'm with you. I really like the Denver rotation a hell of a lot better than Atlanta. We know about Atlanta, too. Preseason, that's where they go to burn money. Julio Jones isn't going to play. You talked about it. Matt Ryan's not going to play. They understand the team is top heavy. They can't get important people hurt. There's going to be a lot of dogs and slugs on that team. But crazy line movement in these opening games, Brian. It just tells you people, hey, we all love baseball. Me and you. Oh, we love golf. But the golf season's kind of winding down in the FedEx Cup. People are craving football. They want to bet on it. They're going to the bank right now and seeing how much money they can take out because football season's right around the corner.
Well, okay, and let's just do this because we'll bleed in. We're going to do a combo of the first full week of preseason and preseason betting strategies and angles. One of the big ones, and there's a shade that's in play, and that's Denver, Atlanta next week have a game under their belt. Now, that's a big advantage, and it's going to be factored into the number. Denver has to go up to Seattle. There's no number we're staring at yet. Seattle's always a gong show. Carroll used to care about winning. Yeah. That will be interesting to see, but I like Denver's quarterback rotation there. But the one, and I think this leads into another angle, you've got Atlanta at Miami, and I'm looking at an opener of, even with Atlanta, having played a game, Miami is a 3.5 point favorite next week. And it makes sense because this is, from a total perspective, these are things you want to look at. You want to find teams that have a quarterback battle because they are going to let them throw the football to evaluate who's going to be the guy that's man in the most important position on the field. But on top of that, Cam, if Miami's going to have Ryan Fitzpatrick and DeRozan out there battling for the starting job for their full season, the one thing they'll do on top of it, and this is the cherry on top of the sundae, they don't want to expose either one of these guys to get mauled, so you're not going to be getting down to the third and fourth string left tackle. Better offensive linemen are going to play because they don't want to get the quarterback killed.
Excellent point, Brian, too. And even the first games, you're kind of looking at the schedule and going, where am I going to attack this stuff? Well, what about like Washington and Cleveland? Cleveland is the big hype team right now. They're pissing off everybody. People are anointing these guys the division already. Oh, the Browns, they think they're superheroes. They've done nothing yet. Whereas Washington, I don't think is going to be a very good team in the regular season, but we talk about Dwayne Haskins, quarterback battle, right? You got other guys who are fighting for positions on that team. They're getting 1.5 points against Cleveland. These are types of things that we are going to look at. I'll tell you, Brian, I'm looking at the totals too. We used to get straight 33s, 32.5, 33. I see some 37, 37, 38 in the Carolina-Chicago game. The books aren't stupid. They understand, hell, we set these numbers too low. Even backups and third stringers, these games are going over the total, but now the books have definitely adjusted. They know people now. You got to think about it. Am I going to take that over when it's been inflated by 3 or 4 points?
No, I know. I look at the Jets-Giants game a week from today, and at first blush, I'm thinking, that might be a good one over the total. You're going to want to evaluate the good young quarterback. And then the more I'm looking at it going, maybe not so much. You look at the Jets, they got Trevor Siemian, Davis Webb, and Luke Falk. That quarterback rotation isn't going to scare anybody. You're not going to get Le'Veon Bell hurt, but you are going to get a healthy dose of Ty Montgomery, Bilal Powell, and Elijah McGuire, who are NFL backs. So I think the clock's running in that game.
What do you do, Brian, with the angle then for the Giants? Obviously, how do you think they're going to play this out with Jones? Manning's the starting quarterback in the preseason. Is he going to play a little bit more? Obviously, I don't think he's going to take over the starting job probably by maybe like week 6. We'll see how things go with the Giants. I know the Redskins have injuries. Philadelphia, obviously, the cream of the crop in that division. Some people like Dallas, but the Giants getting 2. What do you think about Daniel Jones and his playing time? This guy has a lot to prove when people are mocking him at the draft.
I mean, they know what you got with Manning. Now, that being said, if you're going to start the season with him, you got to get him some work. But Eli Manning probably realistically shows up in week 3, and I think you see a lot of Daniel Jones because they more than anything, even if he were to take over this team midstream, he's got to face some live bullets somewhere, and now's the time.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. They're getting 2 points against their, city rival, their Jets and Giants. Giants are getting 2 in that game. This is an interesting number too, Brian. Looking at Jacksonville and Baltimore, you don't see teams favored by 4.5 very much, but Harbaugh has a great record in the preseason. I don't know what the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to do. Obviously, Nick Foles, he's not going to play long. He is their future. They went out and poached from Philadelphia, and they can't be screwing around. If this guy gets hurt, it's a real problem because they do have questions offensively, even with Foles there. But Baltimore, a lot to prove with Lamar Jackson. People in that division, they're talking about Cleveland. People still like Pittsburgh. The Baltimore Ravens are also not just a preseason juggernaut in the past, but also a lack of respect in their division when it comes to betting lines. They might want to get the season started right and kick somebody's ass right out of the gate.
Next week, Indy and Buffalo. So this is a Thursday night game. Here's one, but I would look for this game, and they bet it from 35 down to 34.5. Honestly, I like this game to go over the total. I mean, and Buffalo's got a really good defense, but they're not going to expose their starters to injury. I mean, it's a true strength of the team. Now, I think it's important. Josh Allen gets a lot of work, but this year it's different in that he is the clear starter. He's the number 1 guy. Barkley actually jumped in and played a game for them last year, and he played extremely well. But the one thing you get, Kim, and I would say this to you, is Buffalo has completely revamped their offensive line. So I think you want to get the running game. You're not going to expose McCoy I'm losing my marbles. The old guy.
Gore.
Thank you.
More Gore.
You're not going to expose McCoy and Gore to injury. You want to see what you got with the Singletary kid. But
Yes.
here's the deal.
I like him too.
But here's the deal. But Luck's probably not going to play. He's nicked up in practice already.
That's the thing.
But you get Jacoby Brissett, who can play a little bit, and Philip Walker. Nothing to write home about with that quarterback rotation. But Buffalo is evaluating their wide receivers, and they're trying to build an offensive line. I think they're going to give I think Barkley's going to probably play 2.5, 3 quarters in this game. And I think they're going to have him throwing it around so they can determine who are the guys on the cusp of making that team from a wide receiver perspective. I think you might see some points in this game.
I like the points too. I also kind of have a lean to Buffalo, Brian. It's to what you said. I think the wide receivers are going to be evaluated. As for Indianapolis Colts, a lot of their main players are guys with injury problems as well. Luck's not going to see a sniff. You talk about it. And also, I look at things a little bit differently with Jacoby Brissett. They understand how fragile Luck is. He might be needed. He's one of those things. It's like when I look at Indianapolis starters, you almost have to start at the third stringer because Andrew Luck has been hurt so many times before. They can't screw around, and they need an insurance policy there with him. I find it interesting. I think the Colts are going to be using a lot of third stringers in that game. In Buffalo, they're at home, Brian, -1 point. I think they want to get off on a good note in front of the hometown fans there. I like the home team, and I like the over. I agree. I think they're going to be airing it all over the place.
All right. And then the Patriots and the Lions, you get a little subplot here. The Patriots actually lost to these guys, and you got the walking pencil on the sideline going against Belichick. So there's a little subplot to this. But the thing with the Patriots, if Tom Brady gets any closer than a tailgate party to the stadium, something's up. There should be an investigation. But I would sit there and think it's an intriguing game because I think the Lions, actually, there were so many distractions with them last year. The real rub is you got Drew Stafford when we're talking about the season, the distractions with his wife, and it's a really unfortunate thing. But I think this Detroit team is going to be a little better and maybe surprise some people.
I agree with you 100%. I just talked about that on another show. Their wins total 6.5. I'm going to take the over, Brian. I bet one game in week 1. I've told our friend Morency, some other guys when we're doing some shows, I've already taken Detroit at Arizona. I think Arizona was going to be a popular play with Murray and Cliff Kingsbury and blah, 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 blah. They're going to be doing what they did at Texas Tech. Well, Patricia's no stooge. I think he knows how to stop a collegiate-style offense there. It's only like 25 cents on the money line. I'm with you. I like Detroit. The addition of Daniels, also preseason game against the Patriots. It's just, Detroit's one of those teams. I agree with you. I don't think they're being respected. I love their defensive line. I love Kenny Golladay. They did so many things. Hawkinson, the tight end from Iowa. I think people are actually looking at Detroit, and they're not as bad as people think. I think they can almost be a 500 team. 6.5 is too low, and I'll probably be taking them in the first week against the Patriots as well.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website at betmaker.com. And then Washington and Cleveland. Now, from a preseason perspective, obviously, they're going to see what they're dealing with here with Haskins. But think of the quarterback rotation you've got here. Guys that are legitimately going to play in this game. Case Keenum, Colt McCoy, and Dwayne Haskins.
I know.
I mean, the Redskins are a play-on team in the preseason, right?
I agree. That's exactly what I said, Brian. The one thing about the Redskins is in the regular season, it's going to be tough for these guys. There's going to be growing pains, but in the preseason, I love their rotation.
Colt McCoy in the preseason's Y.A. Tittle.
Exactly. It's a great point. And everyone's talking about the Cleveland Browns. And the Cleveland Browns don't have to worry about the preseason. They got to worry about the regular season. There's a target on these back. Mayfield's chirping. All these guys. Odell Beckham. Oh, yeah. We're going to win this division. We're better. They could be better than Pittsburgh. Settle down, Cleveland. You haven't done anything yet. And I just think keeping their players healthy is going to be imperative to them in the preseason because they have bigger fish to fry. As for Washington, I think they're going to be preseason monsters. I will take the road dog at +1.5 in this game too, Brian. I love that angle.
Jacksonville, Baltimore next week, Cam. The total on the game's 33.5. I'd play under 24.
Yeah, but Baltimore's one of those teams. It's very interesting too. The -4.5. I'm not sure if Jacksonville's even going to get 10 points in this type of game. I lean to the under in this game as well. It's going to be a dirty old school type of game. And interesting to see a favorite at -4.5. Brian, I think I'm going to leave that alone and just take the under.
I will tell you this, Cam. The one team from a season win total perspective that I've been yammering about that sticks out like a sore thumb to me, and that's Jacksonville. And that's if Foles stays upright. All the talent is there from a team that was a whisker away from going to the Super Bowl, had regression, but now you bring a quarterback in who won't lose the games that Bortles lost, and he'll win you a handful of games, and all the talent is still there. But in the preseason, and specifically in week one, Cam, I mean, I like the under. I like Baltimore because the quarterbacks you're looking at are Tanner Lee and Gardner Minshew. Best of luck to you, folks.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew from Washington State Cougars. Yeah, good collegiate quarterback. I don't know how things are going to translate there, Brian, but excellent point. They understand what they have with Foles. You can't be screwing around with this guy before the season starts. He is your meal ticket because we know how good the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is. I think it's going to be interesting. You've changed my mind on this team. Originally, I thought Jacksonville was going to be horrible with Nick Foles, and then I started to think, you're right. Like, look what their defense did to put them in games to win. Then they moved backwards, sack. The guys that they had last year were horrible. They just weren't bad. Blake Bortles is a train wreck, one of the worst starting quarterbacks ever. And he basically took wins away. They turned W's into L's because they were just so stupid they couldn't even get a first down to kick a game-winning field goal. Things like that are going to change. Great point by you. Foles isn't going to be magnificent per se, but he's not going to make bonehead plays, throw pick sixes, and do dumb stuff the way these other turkeys did.
And I got one more that I'll bring up, and if there's something sticks out for you, please chime in. But here's one. I love the Chargers-Arizona game to go over the total. The total is 35.
Excellent, Brian. And I'll tell you, Brian, like we talked about it last night with this Cliff Kingsbury team. Guys, I think Arizona games are going to go over in the preseason. I think they're going to go over in the regular season. What does Arizona have, Brian? A collegiate-style offense that might catch a couple people off guard, but one of the worst defenses in the league. They're going to score a lot of points. They're going to give up a lot of points. They're not going to have totals high enough for the Cardinals, and we better get on it early before Vegas and New Jersey and all the offshores adjust, because I'll tell you one thing, the Cardinals' defense is Swiss cheese, and their offense, they will be able to score some points, Brian.
And they got to get them some work. Now, I don't know how deep you go with it, but I would envision Murray could play
a quarter.
Well, at least a quarter. I was going to say a half is possible. It's possible.
It is possible.
Brett Hundley's got some NFL experience, but it's the nature of the tempo of the game and what he's trying to throw in there. So there'll be extra possessions. Now they're learning it, so they could make mistakes on a short field. But here's the big reason: is that Arizona makes complete sense over the total. But the big reason is you got Tyrod Taylor, who they'll want to learn the offense. They know Phillip Rivers is a starter. Mm-hmm. If Tyrod Taylor plays a half in this game, the Chargers are scoring 21 in the first half.
I agree 100%. I think that's a really good point. Phillip Rivers, veteran quarterback. You don't want to play him maybe one series, get off. I'm with you. Tyrod Taylor is going to play a lot. They're getting 2 points in this game. I lean to the underdog, and I lean to the over in Chargers Cardinals.
Anything other, Cam? I mean, they're tried and true, and that's, new coaches want to win. Some coaches really do it. Harbaugh in Baltimore, we know, likes to win. Other guys could care less. But history does tend to repeat itself in these goofball games.
Yeah, you got to look at some coaches. Another coach who does really well, guys, in preseason, Mike Zimmer of the Minnesota Vikings. They absolutely take it seriously. They're a team that I like this year, Brian, but he's been big. Harbaugh of the Baltimore Ravens, very successful. You talked about it. Pete Carroll, especially years ago, very, very good. Guys like Belichick, they don't care. The Atlanta Falcons have a horrible preseason record, but I got to believe, Arizona, Kingsbury, a lot of these new coaches, you kind of want to get off on the right foot, right? You don't want to, especially when you're a loser team with a new coach, when you've had a bad pedigree for year after year after year, you want to go on and do something positive and give the fans something to cheer about. I love what you said, though, about the Detroit Lions. I think they're a team that people aren't respecting, and I think they can get to 7 wins. So maybe we should, take some wins over there. I think, Brian, you're onto something with this team. I think they're just almost as good as Green Bay, and people talk about Green Bay. I think Detroit could be a nice little sleeper that's under the radar.
Well, the funny thing is, when you look at the division, they're decent football teams, but they're all flawed.
They are.
Okay, yeah, you got Aaron Rodgers, but they did address the defense in the offseason. The Bears, okay, yeah, you got Khalil Mack. Can Trubisky take a step forward? They're good. I don't know that they're great. Maybe they overachieved last year. And Minnesota's intriguing to me if Cook stays healthy and you get a running game going there a little bit. But Kirk Cousins is one of these guys. He's like the Charlie Hoffman of the NFL, right?
You're right.
You're 9 shots off the pace going to the final round. You shoot a 63, and you print $300,000, and you don't win a damn thing other than money. And Cousins is a fantasy football monster.
Exactly. You said it. Fantasy, not reality. Driving in for points, pick 6. Sure, he'll throw for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 2 or 3 interceptions as well. That's the problem with Kirk Cousins. In big games, he hasn't showed up yet. It's time for him to make a step. And I got to be honest with you, Brian, Dalvin Cook, I love him, but he's missed more games in the NFL than he's played. I loved him at Florida State, but he's always injury hurt. That's my only problem with Minnesota. I want to smash them because I like them better than Chicago and Green Bay, but I really worry about the tendencies, the injuries, and all those things that go along with Minnesota. Too many questions.
Hey, here's an idea with our producer, Mike, maybe a segment we can do down the road. Odds to win the MVP in the NFL. I got a sneaky one that you might like.
Are you going to let the cat out of the bag, Brian, or are you for another show here?
No, it was a team, because I was addressing you personally. What team do you like?
What, the Vikings?
No,
yeah, I like the Vikings.
No, you're a Seahawks fan.
Oh, yeah, I love the Seahawks.
I think at 18,
Russell Wilson?
18-1, I think Russell Wilson might be a sneaky MVP candidate this year.
That's interesting. Yeah, another guy I kind of like, Carson Wentz. I think if he stays healthy, I really like what the Eagles are capable of doing in that division. But Brian, you're right. People are down on Seattle. Ooh, what are you going to do without Doug Baldwin? Well, you ever heard of Tyler Lockett? They drafted the kid at Ole Miss in the first round too. He's going to be a monster in the red zone. And Russell Wilson understands sometimes he has to take the team on his back.
That's just it.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
Awards are stat-driven garbage, right? But if for argument's sake, and it's a big if, but if Seattle ends up being a 10-11 win team, challenge the Rams at all deep into the season out west in the NFC, the odds are Wilson's doing the majority of it by himself, running around making plays. And he's capable. He's that good. But he's also prone to. I'm just saying, from a price play, because it's the same cast of characters. Rodgers and Wentz has already taken a lot of money for the reasons you said. I'm just saying, from a price play, 18-20-1. I think Russell Wilson, I might step up to the plate and take a little swing at.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Brian. A lot of the other things, too, people knew Seattle's predictable offense, right, with just the running backs. I thought it was a horrible game plan against the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs where Baldwin was open all the time. Russell Wilson's going to call his own number a lot. The game has changed, and I'm with you. He understands in a tight game. He has the ability, and he loves to basically say, you know what, guys, I got this. Follow me. And I'll tell you, the Rams, people are just anointing these guys the champion in the division, but hold your horses. Who knows what's going to happen? People are counting Seattle out, but I think they're going to be right there.
It might be a sneaky one to watch. He dropped like a rock in the draft. His route running is sketchy, but he's like Atlas.
DJ Metcalf?
The Metcalf kid, and he runs like a reindeer, and he's huge. And I just can see this happening a bunch, and that's Wilson just running around buying time, and Metcalf, breaks contain and takes off. I bet you they hook up for 4 60-plus yard touchdown passes.
Yeah, I agree. People are down on Metcalf too, and I'll tell you one damn thing. You said it. Broken plays. Nobody's better than Russell Wilson. And another thing about Metcalf, Brian, when there's a 50-50 ball, he's long and lean. He's going to get those balls. He's going to be huge. I'm going to look at some props for DJ Metcalf, touchdowns over and receptions over, if you can find them really deep, because I think he's going to have a good year. People think he's going to be a bust. I totally disagree. I think he's going to be fine, and he's going to be a red zone monster for Seattle.
You know what we'll do? Boy, we're just making up ideas as we go. We'll wrap it up now. But I think another one, and you know what, though? And I think, we're talking numbers and betting. And there are those people that poo-poo this. They say it's mental masturbation, fantasy football. I got news for you. I'm in 2 serious fantasy football leagues.
Me too, buddy. And winning team gets like $30,000. Trust me, it's a big deal.
But let me tell you something. It helps my handicapping, because the one thing you get by being involved with fantasy football, you're watching a 35-10 game in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Even if the total's already been decided, but you're watching it because you got guys that are active and matter to you. But by watching so much closer because of the individual guys, believe me, you pick up things that you can apply down the road. I think we should do a fantasy football segment. We'll do something to table here to do down the road. I think we'll have some fun with it, because I think it will help people's handicapping.
Oh, definitely. You got to do it all. Fantasy football and vice versa, Brian. I work at a company. That's what we do. Where guys have won millionaires playing DraftKings and FanDuel tournaments. We have them on the show. I do gambling. They do fantasy and play DFS every day. Let me tell you, it helps you. And the optimizer that we run, basically, it was hitting on almost a 70% clip for over-unders. You know what it's great for? Those fantasy and DFS breakdowns, totals in games, these guys have hit so many. It is great for over-unders, and we'll talk more about that later on too.
Well, I lied. This is the last topic. But you know what? And maybe that's why. And I never really thought why I do it. But I say this, and I mean it with all sincerity. Be it baseball, football, basketball, hockey, the 70 to 75% of the wagers I make, Cam, are totals.
Yeah, you're a total guy, and I'm more of a side guy, so it's perfect.
But in my rationale for it is, and it works for me. Now, I lose with the best of them, but, I win more than I lose. But the rationale is, when you're handicapping a game, and especially football with a funny-shaped object that bounces weird ways, and you get that grisly backdoor cover with 5 seconds to go and all that kind of nonsense, the bottom line is, when you're handicapping a game, you're talking about the pace of play, over the course of 60 minutes, you're rooting for both teams, be it under or rooting against both teams. And it's not that, that goofball play happened at the tail end that covered the game. But to me, it's a safer prospect to say, here's how I believe the pace of the game will be.
Yes.
It just makes it, to me, it makes sense, and I get a better read. It's not that I don't play sides, but the majority of what I play are totals. And you're talking about the fantasy stuff, how it helps you with totals.
It does. And the supercomputer, when you throw all the numbers in, it affects totals a lot more than the side in the game. It's weird. It's like it feels the pace of play a lot more than just a side or a total. Obviously, the one thing it does, turnovers. That's the one thing that it can't really do. But when you run through the numbers time and time and time again, it keeps on spitting it out. And Brian, remember, the number in Vegas and New Jersey in these books are sharp. It is created by basically supercomputers and algorithms and everything now. So it also depicts, hey, this line was bet 4 points too many over the total. Like, you can even look at steam movements and stuff. Well, when it hits a certain number, we're going to go the other way. Yeah, these are definitely things we can assess. And I'm telling you, fantasy and DFS, everything is combined in today's world to make you a better gambler.
Cam is our supercomputer.
Yeah, right. That's a good one, Brian.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, I'm way older than you, but boy, I'll tell you, you talk about being a box of rocks. You go back 15 years. I didn't know where the power button was on the damn computer.
Oh, me too.
Yesterday, I had a goofball thing. I'm on the computer. I mean, literally, it's like my world, the planet started spinning backwards because the battery was coming down and it went off. And I had all these browsers open. So turn the computer back on and come on. And somehow the clock changed. So I had the wrong date and time. it wouldn't, Safari wouldn't let me over. I'm like, I couldn't do anything. So now it took me 15 minutes to go in to figure out how to change. I can actually problem solve crap on a computer now where
we're doing our own IT, buddy, and I'm a stooge. I won't be getting a job at Geek Squad anytime soon, but I'll tell you something. When you're forced to do it, you figure it out, brother. Yeah, I'm with you. We used to do our fantasy with pen and paper, Brian. Now it's unbelievable. Like my bets are, I used to keep a spiral notebook. Now, oh my God.
Well, buddy, I will take issue with that. I beg to differ. I think we could both get a job at Geek Squad, but it wouldn't be because of anything computer related. All right. Well, always a treat. Cammy, good fun talking preseason football. Have a good one, pal.
You too, man. Can't wait to do it. We'll do it all the time. People, me and Blessing, we'll break down the golf, the football, the hockey when it's there. Everything. Hey, as Mo Sislak on The Simpsons says, Blessing, if it moves, you can bet on it. And we will.
Football's coming. It's coming fast.
Betmaker, let's make some money tonight.
Well, that's the Betmaker Show for now. We publish multiple times each week. We'd like to thank you for listening, and if you liked what you heard, please take a moment to leave a rating and review, or subscribe to our show feed, or share our show with a friend or two and help us grow the show. We very much appreciate it. Visit us on the web at betmaker.com, and reminder to sign up for the newsletter. Thanks to our engineer, Darren Vandermolen, and producer, Mike Gallivan. The Betmaker Show is a production of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated. Betmaker is a registered trademark. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this content without the express written consent of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction, as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and or interpersonal relationships. At Betmaker.com and The Betmaker Show, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling. An approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.